Hello once again, and welcome to the program. I am Suren. Love, if practiced unconditionally, comes through care and compassion. This is certainly reflected at a global level. Also, where we discover nations destroying other countries, while violating families, people fleeing and having nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and the children experiencing pain, agony, and emotional stress. There are always disagreements, although people are supposedly unified as one. There is only one civilization, which is not civil at all, as you can see. Totally observed fact shows us that people are totally dependent on liberality, gifts and generosity, living at the expense of the planet Earth. Your breathing, your livelihood, and procreation, and everything else are spontaneously dependent on being given to or handed out provisions. You might ask about where from. Think about it. Where is indeed the reciprocal generosity and your rights given back to Earth? ? But where are the donations gone? You might say. What about the handouts, the support for all the ongoing producing and sustainability of foods? A good question. Do you really care for this planet Earth? What personal responsibility do you take ownership of? And what your plane of action to keep the valuation of nature, providing all the natural goodness and food supply chain happening repeatedly for generations next? What absurdity is this, do you think? On one hand, there is a desecration by the continued use of chemicals that burn and give off pollution. Do you really think about the chemicals? Chemicals contaminating and poisoning the soil, and what effect that has on you. Think about it. On the other hand, the food source derived from the seeds planted, grown, picked, harvested year in and year out on earth, and it gives of her bounty, plus water and the essential elements to bring forth a new life, rain, and do something else additionally. And the essential elements of balance creates sustainability for growth of food for you, the people of earth. Listen carefully. Now, think of the household chemicals which have the same effect as chemical warfare. They both poison the soil and water, contaminate and cause the soil erosion. You have heard it correctly. The foods are grown under these conditions. Can you people eat them and don't realize how harmful those situations are to you and your health? That is the world you are living in. Do you think that there is enough education, information, and emphasis placed on turning the situation around while there is still the time to do so, to do something positive? And it must start, yes, you guessed it right, with you. What and who is in danger of being harmed? Question mark. How long do you think this regime on earth will stand? We are not talking about a story alone. What of the consequence here? When earth needs to save itself, what will happen to you? Utopia? Think again. Where can you get any information? And what part of earth is safe? And what is secure? And where will you run? How can you protect yourself? Anywhere to hide? Here is a major question. Who really cares? Do people feel compassion and care enough to help? It is strange that humankind, in general, respond by probably heading towards flight or fight mode. Am I correct? The human nature is that negativity gets more attention and more pronounced these days. Human population is growing in numbers rapidly. And how soon will naturally grown food will be hard to come by? Population and the climatic conditions are real threat to food strategists. And naturally grown good food producers are the problem areas. We all are in danger at the rate of life. Just think about it. Your food now being genetically modified. Do you agree? Some wouldn't, I know. If the earth cannot go on and cannot be sustained from the continuation of this abuse and neglect, now is the time to change that. When humans make the change, everything will become better sooner than expected. You got to be truthful about this. Your many chemicals used during your last century, the upper crust of the planet Earth, the topsoil has eroded. Check it. Earth is in danger as never before. I am not a panic merchant, I can assure you. The minerals and nutrients and every great resource have been looted and pillaged out of the planet Earth, used and abused, and then through the lack of care and compassion, so much harm being done to your planet. However, could planet Earth be responding to it? That's a good question. It is your viable mechanism. Believe me. Earth has to save itself. Agreed? How much longer can you repeat offenders' abuse, disgrace of compassion? Humans? Earth is a living organism. The systems are in place to respond by pressing the correct button. It is warning so as the mankind could stop their destructive stance. Here is a great warning, maybe, as to what is coming. Call it a cataclysm. Harsh, isn't it? You have been and are still so very arrogant. We can see it. Earth will and must survive, with or without your help. So do not wait for disasters to happen. To change what may come and give a rediverted by taking your first step in being responsible. An idealist's way of thinking. Start the stopping process now. Defend yourselves. Do you want to know how? Well, I feel as inspired from elsewhere. Start by giving care and using compassion as a means to an end. Is love truly working here, do you think? When and if is love working here? Being in balance, you can act calmly, reasonably, and peacefully. That really is an act of love. And in fact, love always wins. Put it to the test, if you like. Humanity must be united as one in consciousness, working in arms towards the common good. For the greater good can only be possible when unified. Unity, all for one and one for all. I say this as a friend of humanity. So, how to change what is not working? what is working and what progress will work to save you. Think about it. Here is an example to muse, deliberate about, and perhaps, just perhaps, an explanation to an open reminder. Could some order or an association or company where every nation is represented be formulated? Perhaps one flag under the banner of allegiance. The fundamental premise being that policies formulated would hold to every nation's values and beliefs. Every human being treated to equal rights. Is it at all possible? All nations and their inspirations, aspirations, religions, philosophies respected, with full freedom to participate in their own inherent practices. This is indeed an inherent, intrinsic to allegiance, and is like a mantra. One for all, and all for one. When monitoring law and order, it would be operating with full power, a tactical force towards the knowledge and understanding as to a humane approach when dealing with oversensitive situations. Training must incorporate application of the technical aid and support to the politics, creeds, and customs as the number one assertion that every given situation, in particularly disruptive areas, done could be one and only world security force, with every country having representatives actively participating. Acting with peaceful intent. This sort of a task force would enter every country to settle disputes, root out within the human behavior leaders of tyrants, and bring them to stand a public trial in the world court, which is already in existence today, as you know. What about the law courts? Question mark. The one element central to every key is home in one form or another. The hopeful side of human nature. Caught in the act. Out. Brought before the court. Judged and done a sentence. And joked out your punishment as a teaching mechanism. Consider. This is indeed the time when both parties are being affected by or inflicted by harm. Be a murder, rape, robberies, and the current cause of drugs, recreational plus prescription ones, all. Usage of violence to destroy and destruction has been, shall we say, a universal problem of consequence. There was no solution and no answer until now, until this very moment. Convictions that punishment will have a new and more humane approach. Humility. Human nature would be learning respect for self and all things great and small, taught and encouraged how to live, to be proud and law-abiding citizen, training in how to grow food subject to soil and climate conditions, also hygienist, as well as how to live a peaceful existence. Is it hard? Maybe. This is a necessary step for humanity to love one another, being capable of living side by side, everyone caring for their own neighbors and community. Now, for instance, living with pure love, when appropriately applied. I know, this sounds like utopia, doesn't it? But love and purity will be your redeemer, believe it or not, and that is your salvation. Re-establishing self-awareness, self-esteem, self-worth does work. We have seen it happen. And commitment not necessarily is easy, but it points to the living standards or ethics. Self-reliance and self-belief will bring a balance to your life, that of your family and those around them. Yes, for some, it probably will be unfamiliar and lost. A resurgence of energy of goodwill, free will, and self-assurance can and will bring in the necessary changes. Many times, this could be a very slow progression. However, it might have been considered once a luxury, no longer available, not even affordable today. Think about it. Fortunately, or maybe unfortunately, humans are always dealing through a mindset that of a positive nature, thoughts, and even mindless thoughts as well. A thought is always a choice, a good point to remember, that you have to think about also. Does this mean that your life is how it is, or come about by what you choose by yourself at that time in your best interests? Question mark. Harmful thoughts, incite, the abusive words spoken breeds contempt, entitlement, arrogance acted out as villains, and destruction from criminal intent. Thought is the leadership of attitudes, behaviors, values, and beliefs. Warehousing is choosing from all those posing choices to be proactive or negative. It is a matter of choice, isn't it? Showing and mentoring is indeed imprinting new behaviors today. A morphing in progress over the harmful side of human nature has started and is progressing towards the ultimate state, which is the unconditional love, pure when applied. By the way of introduction, meditation is there another practice. Its modality proved positive for resolution and solutions. Here are a few what-if factors if you like to consider. What if Earth's behavior is similar to the human species? ? What if blasting resources to plunder, pillage, and steal is for greed? Would humanity survive? Another question. What if Earth has a living organism by being in a state of constant demand ran out of these resources? That's a very good question. Just think about it. The consummate human, wanting deep down, is to love and be loved. Can anyone deny it? Care, compassion, can ease that human wanting? ? To consider. Anyway, I think I have spoken enough for today. Let's end this session today, now, until we meet again by the next episode. And until then, yes, as usual, keep smiling and be happy, no matter what. Thank you.